And this is my second time Tuk Tuk. The other time was in Bangkok. That was a bit scary. I don't think that's gonna happen today.
Only 3 accidents this week, so...
But
Right
this
now it's around 15, 16 degrees Celsius.
looks amazing.
Yes. A deep breath now.
Deep breath. Oh.
The local football team, as I said, is called Hajduk Split. And they are called Torcida. And they like to do the chants and all the choreographies. This place, it's almost always empty.
That's really amazing.
Now we are at Kašjuni beach, as I said, the most popular one in town.
So this is fearless freestyle, and Bačvice is organized. Okay.
You have to go through the ranks in order to get there.
Hi everyone. Today Lovre here is gonna take me for a ride in this beautiful vehicle. And of course, if you've seen my other videos where I walk around Split, this is gonna be something different because we are gonna see much more in a shorter time frame. So I really look forward to this ride. So let's get on board and see how Split looks from a tuk-tuk. And this is my second time tuk-tuk. The other time was in Bangkok. That was a bit scary. I don't think that's gonna happen today, but let's see, you know.
Only 3 accidents this week, so hopefully you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Are we ready, guys?
Yeah. We are ready?
Let's go. On your right side, you can already see Prokurative Square.
Yeah.
It's also called the Republic Square. And in summer, it's popular for these restaurants and bars. And it's also for these last 50 years been home to the music festival in Split. So very popular. And also in the winter, they put an ice skating area and then they surround it with those little houses selling sausages and cooked wine, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, it's very popular in Christmas time.
I've been there a few times.
Yes.
Yeah. It can be a bit tricky going home from there after
Yes.
X number of Kuhanavino.
Yes. But these last couple of years has been very, very popular.
No, I was there this last winter here or Christmas. It was amazing.
On the left side of yours, you can see Matejuška Pier, a very popular place for locals to come drinking at night. So they buy the drinks here at the Tommy Market and down there at the little beer shop, and then they sit on the pier, just like those two guys right there. So of course, much more affordable option than the bars.
Of
in
course,
the
yeah.
center.
And basically they leave them there. It's no problem in the evening that they sit there.
Yes, it's all right.
Okay.
Or been in the culture for a very long time.
Okay.
And also in the center, in the old town, it's actually forbidden to drink outside because of those pub crawling tourists that have been coming these last couple of years.
Yeah.
They had to put out those fines. So in the center,
yeah.
you can actually get fined for drinking outside.
Which kind of makes sense, you know.
On the right side is Bocamora, one of the best pizza places in the town. Back there you can see the pizza oven and the whole process of the pizza being made. And they make Italian style pizza, Napoletana.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna be going over the west coast, and the one on the other side you can see with the cruisers and the ferry boats, that's the east coast. But there's no rivalry.
No, and what was it? Is it 10 years ago since now that they built this, something like that?
The west coast,
Yeah.
yes. It was at the time of the old city mayor, Željko Kerum. He's a famous one.
Yeah.
On the right side is gonna be one of the biggest hotels in town, Marjan. Named same as Marjan Hill above Split. It's supposed to be finished next summer.
Well, maybe they will manage.
Yes. On the left side, you can see Aci Marina, and most of the big yachts, of course, are privately owned, while these sailing boats you can see here right on the left side are all part of the charter business in Croatia. And it's actually very interesting that Croatia has the biggest charter fleet in the whole world. And that's because we have a very, very long season. So these boats can be rented out for 1 or 2 weeks, almost throughout the whole season, from May all the way to October. So these companies can make a lot of money. You can see the names of the charters on the sails. And 1 week on that kind of boats is around 10 to 15,000 euros.
Cool.
Some are even more, depends of course on the luxury. But they can fit 8 to 12 people. So when you divide it per person, it's not so bad.
No, then it's actually reasonable, yeah.
On the right side, you can see the city hall. The mayor and the city council work there.
Or don't work, depending.
Yes. On the right side is Zvončac Park. Right now, the child park is under reconstruction, supposed to be finished soon. And it's a very popular place for locals to have children birthdays down there because of those tables in the shade. They bring the kids and then they just let them play around. And we are approaching St. Stephen's Park. It used to be a cemetery, but in the Second World War, it was badly damaged by the Vandals and they were taking out the medals from the cemetery. So they decided to excavate the graves and put them into the big cemetery for Split on the outskirts. It's called Obojena. And this place is used as a park, and it's also used for traditional Croatian weddings. There's actually a 2-year waiting list for you to have a wedding here, so very popular. We're gonna stop here.
No, but this is such a nice place to hang out.
Yes.
The Sustipan Park. I remember when my kids were small, we always went here, you know, during the weekend, you know, brought a ball, brought some other stuff, you know, and they love playing around here.
So, as I said, it's a 2-year waiting list for you to have a wedding in this church. And also on a Sunday, there's an outside mass at 11. They bring out the chairs in front of the church. And it's very beautiful to hear, you know, the birds chirping, and it feels, of course, very holy. So very popular. Also on Easter, the whole town comes here for the mass. In the summer, very popular for cliff diving. Right now, there's not a lot. Well, there's no one yet because it's still not the peak swimming season.
Yeah.
And the temperature of the sea is around 15 degrees Celsius right now. On the right part is there's a cafe down there. So they can actually, you know, get seen by the people from the bar, and then they're badasses, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I used to do it myself, as there's a water polo field right down there, and I used to play water polo. And then every summer we would be having training there, and then we
you
would
went
go
up
to
here.
the bar. Yes,
Yeah.
so.
We actually went here, was it last year? And we wanted, there was like 10, 15 kids up there, and we wanted them to see that they jump, but none of them actually did it, you know.
Yes.
They were just speaking and, you know, discussing who was the next
I
one.
tell the guests, 100 euros and I jump.
Yeah, it's like going to Mostar almost.
Yes.
Yeah. But I cannot believe 2 years waiting time.
Yes.
So is this one more popular than Svetiduje?
Yes, well, right, maybe not.
Maybe not, yeah.
Maybe not, because but I think on those positions it's very hard to even get a permit from the church to actually let you have a wedding here.
Ah, so you need to apply a long time and these kind of stuff. Yeah.
The marriage has to be clean in religious ways wise.
Of
so
course, yeah.
I think that it's not so easy to get it in that terms. That's why it's actually such a long waiting
But
list.
that's crazy, you know, that you would actually think 2 years ahead, you know, with this. Yeah.
They say that you should first book and then find a wife.
Yeah, then find a wife. That kind of makes sense, you know, because 2 years seems, you know, a long time, you know.
So what I suggest you do now is a walk to the White Cross, and then you can make a left turn and make a circle around the park. On
And
the other
come
side, yes, on the other side there's a nice view of the town as well. Have some pictures, enjoy the place, and I'll be here waiting for you.
Super, we will do that. Thanks.
Welcome.
Oh, look how nice the water looks. Yeah, and there's a bit over there where they're jumping to the right over here. Yeah. Wow, it looks so crystal clear. If you look at the shape, it looks like it could have been a basilica, which would kind of make sense, yeah. The view from here. Now there's not so many ferries, but Brač here. Behind that one you have Var, and down there of course you see Biokovo Mountains, Makaska, Omis down in that direction, and then to that side over here you have where you see the sailing boat. Out behind that one you have Island Scholta, and just over here you have Island Chiovo. Okay, they're putting up the locks down here, but nothing like Makaska. The port, the marina which we passed before, is just in front of us. Yeah, you actually have a pretty good view on Split from here also, from this corner here. And now you can really see the marina. But although the weather is fantastic and all stuff, it seems so quiet today. At least here.
Next stop is Obojena beach.
How fast does it go, this thing?
The top speed is around 70 kilometers per hour.
Wow, does it go that fast?
But we only reach that inside of the tunnel when you have a long straight line. Otherwise, we don't do that. And of course, it wouldn't be very safe to drive that fast.
Of course.
On the right side of yours is the Museum of the Archaeological Monuments of the Croatian history. And inside a monument found in Croatia in this area dating back to the 6th century, 6th and 7th century when Croatians arrived to this area. As prior to that, it was the Romans and other people, of course, living, and Diocletian, who built the Diocletian's palace in 296, and then later the city spread around it. On the right side is the Meštrović gallery. Ivan Meštrović was a famous sculptor from Split, and inside all around are his arts, of course. And it's a very, very popular place to come to if you are into art. This whole street is even named by him, and maybe you know, in Chicago, USA, there's a sculpture called the Bowman and the Spearman. So he made that actually.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Yes, he was a world-renowned
Yeah,
figure.
he was world-renowned for that, yeah.
Now we'll go here over the view of the Obojena beach. They put the fence 2 years ago because of the dogs, unfortunately. There was a lot of people walking their dogs, and then the dogs would fall down the cliffs.
Oh, that actually happened.
Yes, because they were just running, and then they don't know that there's an abyss down there. So this beach is called Obojena, which means colored in English, and of course it's because of the colors that the sun makes with the sea. And it's probably the favorite for locals. I myself go to this one, as there's this huge parking area, which is a big relief in the summer, because you can just park your car and go down to the beach. And of course, as there are no bars here, tourists tend to skip it. So it's pretty free still in the season. And of course, when it's too hot outside, you don't want to really be thinking where you're going to park your car.
I never learned to know this beach as Obojena. It was to me it was always called Kastellet.
Ah, yes.
So that's basically the name. Since I heard it the first time, I always kept that one. But at that time where I used to come here, there was a coffee bar down there.
Yes, it used to work, but all this was kind of illegal. So next year probably they're gonna
give a permission to sell.
Yes,
because you know it's a fantastic beach.
But they have to let people run for give the best offer for the
of course,
place
which makes sense.
That.
Yeah,
they have to make it, of course, legal. So it takes a lot of time. The bureaucracy here is.
But I would wish they would do it, because I
Yes.
think it's a really nice place.
And the only thing you got to keep in mind on these Croatian beaches is sea urchins.
Yes.
But it's always good to see them, as they're an indicator of a clean sea. You will never see sea urchin on beaches that are dirty, close to the port or something like that. But yeah, today there's no wind, so you can pretty much see through the water.
It's just amazing today how it looks. Just amazing.
And it's always like this in the morning. It's a bit calmer, and then in the afternoon the wind picks up.
Yeah.
And there's already people swimming. Not a lot of them.
Usually this is too early time of the year for me to go swimming, but when I look at this.
Well, as long as it's so sunny outside and there's no wind, it's good.
It's good.
But if it was windy, it wouldn't be so nice. Because then when you come out, it wouldn't be hot. But right now it's around 15, 16 degrees Celsius.
Looks amazing.
Yes.
Looks absolutely amazing.
So attractive.
Wow.
On the left side, a Catholic monastery called Kaštilac. They grow a lot of these olive trees, and they make, of course, olive oil. Again, here. And the climate here in Croatia suits the olive trees very well, especially in Dalmatia.
I'm not sure the people from Istria will like to hear that.
Well, Istria is like a whole other country, I think. So beautiful.
No, it is, it is definitely.
On the left side now is Tito's villa, former residency of the Yugoslavian president Tito. It's called Villa Dalmatia, and today it is still private. It's owned by the town, and you can rent it for one night for 5,000 euros. And people like it for parties and events and for weddings. And there's also a private beach down there with a little pier. So they like to bring the bride with the boat, of course.
Ah, yeah.
So it's very, very romantic. Now we're gonna go down to Kašjuni beach, the most popular one in town. Although there used to be two bars down there called Joe's Beach Bar. They've been very popular, but they removed them this winter.
Ah, they did?
Yes, as they were too illegal as well.
Ah, yeah.
So
there's no bar for this summer or what?
Well, which for us on these tuk-tuks is maybe a bit better because hopefully it's going to be less busy. And on the left side, the cannon and the monument are for the first fallen victim in Split of the Civil War, which started in 1991 between Croatia and Serbia. And the victim was Josip Vranić, an 18-year-old boy. He actually went to high school with my mother.
Ah.
Yes, so it's the first fallen victim in Split, of course. And now we are at Kašjuni Beach, as I said, the most popular one in town.
Now I see it. It was the coffee bar here, you know.
Yes, they removed it, and the other one was down there.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes. But
So
now,
both of them went away?
yes.
And no plans for...
Well, probably next year, but this year nothing. Yeah, because as for that place we saw in Obojena, just like here, they have to.
Okay, but then
give it
that's
for the best.
definitely also going to change.
We need a place
yeah.
here because closest place you can get a drink from here is 35 minutes walking. So,
which nobody's going to do.
Yeah,
you know,
especially in the summer.
Yeah.
And if you look up there, you can see St. Jerome's Church, as well as those three little windows in the rocks. That's a chapel there.
Yeah.
And St. Jerome's Church actually is a popular place for weddings as well. And normally the park is closed for vehicles, so you can only get up there if you're cycling, walking, jogging. And there's a special city bus that actually takes you to the modern looking building up there. That's the Sky View. And it's also for the firemen, for the fire department to know if there's, to look over everything.
To look over if it burns somewhere.
There's a fire, yes. Cause,
yeah, the train is actually coming.
Yeah, and that's the tourist train, yes. And they actually drive to the top, so they don't make a stop at these chapels and churches. So if you want to go there by yourself, you actually have to climb. So, I mean, walk up there. You can see there is a road below. But as I said, it's closed for outside vehicles. So the park is completely closed for anyone outside the state vehicles and the ones with special permits.
So walking or bicycle?
Yes. But it's good for families to enjoy the place.
No, it's a fantastic place, yeah.
And this beach was actually built also in 1979 when they were digging out the tunnel. They smashed the rock from the tunnel, which we're going to go through.
And then they simply took it down here?
Yes, and they poured it here to make the beach, yes.
And I liked when you go up the road here.
Yes.
There's a fantastic view on the beach from up there.
Yes, of course, we're going to go over there as well. And if you look here, you can see Čiovo. It's actually a half island. It's connected by bridge down there at the bottom with the town Trogir.
It's an island. I'm from there, so
Yeah, you cannot call it a half island. It's actually an island. Yeah.
just because there's a bridge which is connecting, it doesn't
Make it a island. No, it is still an island. Yeah.
All right, then it's an island.
Yeah.
And behind it, it's island Šolta. The one here on the left is island Brač. And if you look all the way back there, it looks like a little bit mountains back there. That's Hvar. And Hvar is probably the most popular out of all Croatian islands. We can see here, you can see the plant with the yellow flowers. Yeah. It's in Croatian called Bernistra. In Latin, it's Aspalatus. And that plant is actually the origin of the name of the city. So Romans, when they came here, they saw this plant growing and they named the town after it, Spalato.
Yeah.
And from Spalato came Split, what's today.
Yeah.
And Croatian, it's Bernistra. I don't know if you know, but agave trees are also called the century plants.
Yeah.
And I'll show you here. You see how the one has already dried up and fell down. And I'll show you one that's still growing now where we pass. So that plant, it grows big like this, and in the center it will grow a tree, and then it will flower, and then it will die. And they say that that whole process takes around 100 years. So a century.
Yeah, a century. Okay, that makes sense.
So that's why it's a century plant.
Ah, here they are, yeah.
You can see how in the center it grows into a tree and then it will flower.
And that's it.
And then it's going to dry down and fall over. So and that whole process takes around 100 years.
Amazing.
And they also make rope out of it.
They make rope from
Yes,
it? I didn't know that.
The strings of the fibers are very strong.
Ah,
And on the left is the view of the beach. We're gonna turn around here and then we're gonna stop here for the view.
we went to Var last year.
Yes?
And we went around with, what was he called, Ivica? We went around with Ivica. He's a historian and something teacher. And yeah, on Var. And he basically took us around. We went with some quads over on Var. And he told us that at one point, it was sometime in the beginning of the 20th century, I think, there was a disease in the wine in Italy and in France. Basically, they couldn't produce any wine or very little wine. And that's when Croatia became the #1 wine producer.
Yeah.
So I actually always thought that all these squares, you know, when they put up the stone,
Yeah.
that was done because of farming back in the days. But that was actually because of the wine. They did this, yeah.
There was a surge.
Yeah, there was a surge and there was a huge market. So most of the people on Var, of course, lived on top of the island.
Yes.
But they were growing the lavender and they were doing lavender oil. And certainly lavender oil became very popular. So they would come from these factories or whoever was buying the oil. They would basically, was it a yearly salary for 1 liter or something? It was something insane they would get from 1 liter. So everybody started growing also lavender. And that was basically why all the people from the island, then they got a lot of money, the ones who were growing lavender. And that's the one who owns Var today, Grad Var.
It was like a gold rush then.
It was like a gold rush, you know, because they could earn so much money on doing lavender oil. No, but this is so beautiful here.
And it's full of boats here in the summer, of course.
It's also a nice spot, you know, to throw the anchor, and then if you come with a nice boat, why not?
Yes. And all beaches in Croatia are public. So for people to know that there's no private beach. You cannot have a private beach.
Although in some places they try to.
Yeah, well, they make it so it's not accessible for anyone.
Yeah.
But if you're with a boat, you have a
You-
right to
basically
go
go
to the
there.
beach
Yeah,
wherever
yeah.
you come. So
Yeah.
no one can tell you that it's their beach.
No.
Because yes, it's maritime good. I think it's called like that.
Yeah.
And it's all owned by the country. Those last 5, 6, and 10 meters. And they even have a right to take it away from you if the sea level rises.
Then they
their
can move.
property- yes, they're going to move into your property.
Yeah,
technically.
so that they make sure that there's a certain amount of meters
Whatever
which is public.
happens there is still public.
No,
yeah.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yes,
To a fantastic concept to keep it like this, so
Yes.
everybody can go on the beach. No, but it's really a wonderful way of going around, you know. You're not sweating like if you would walk or take the bicycle in that sense, you know. And you see so many places which are, I mean, I can tell you I've been to many of these places by walk, by bike, or even by car, and lots of them is very hard to get to in the summer, so this is a much more convenient way to get around.
You can see here, there's a lot of fig trees growing out wild like this. You can see already
The roots are coming
roots
up.
are, even falling down onto the floor. There's 2 kinds growing here. One of them are ripe in around this time, so May, June, and the other one is ripe in August. And then we of course make a lot of products out of them. We even dry them, make a lot of cakes, and of course people like to eat them fresh as
Yes.
well. But you can pretty much eat it off the street like this. If you see one that's ripe and looks good, no problem with eating that.
No, my wife always tries to try to figure out ways she can steal some figs, you know, from some trees. But when they get ripe, you need to be fast because everybody
wants them.
Yeah, wants to eat them. Yeah.
Just like the asparagus. Now the asparagus have become very expensive. So even on Marjan here, you can find them growing out wild. So
Yeah.
a lot of people, that was like a month ago, now there's none of them left. But
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
can-
people go out and just pick them.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, but they are so good.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
very tasty. A deep breath now.
Deep breath. Oh.
survived.
So Poljud coming up.
Yes.
I see. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can see the logo right there
Yeah.
on the wall. And football is the main sport here, so everybody plays it as a child. And they even say when you have a male child, the first thing you have to do is try him out in football. Because if he's any good, then we are all going to be rich.
Yeah.
But if he's not, then he can see and find out which sport he likes.
Yeah.
And the local football team, as I said, is called Hajduk Split. And they have a big fan group of those ultras fans. And they are called Torcida, and they like to do the chants and all the choreographies and throw the flares and all that. And the stadium was built in 1979, the same year as the tunnel and the two beaches we saw. It was all built as a part of the preparation for the Mediterranean Games, which were a sports event being played here. All the countries from the Mediterranean would come. And it was the last one that was played, of course, before Tito's death. So that's why they say that not a lot of things happened in Split since he died.
Since that.
And you can see now the rust and the broken
Yeah.
panels. That broken panels part happened last year during that severe storm we had here. And the stadium itself can fit 34,000 people. And it was designed to look like a shell, and then the pitch inside is the pearl. So very, very great architectural design. Definitely for the time of the being built is, of course, a miracle. Now they're even having big debates whether it should be taken down and
build a new one
yes,
instead.
exactly. We ready, guys?
Yes.
Let's go.
Good to go. But how late do you run that evening tour?
Well, like until 1 or 2 in the top season, yes.
Till that late?
Yes, because there's still interest for it, of course.
Amazing, amazing.
On the left side is the bocce field. You know about bocce?
Of course.
Yes.
I'm the Danish champion.
Ah, yes. Here it's mostly older people who play it, so when we were children, you would never actually get a chance to get to the place because it was always taken.
Yeah. I mean, you see, when you go around Sundays,
Yes.
it's always full with the older gentlemen.
And they like to have drinks with it,
Yeah.
so it gets very feisty between them.
Yeah, I overheard a few times where there was some measurement issues.
You see that rose building right there on the right?
Yeah.
It used to be a Jewish morgue, and next to it there's a Jewish cemetery from 1573. One of the oldest preserved ones in this area, as most of them were destroyed in the Second World War, as this part was occupied by fascist Italy. So now the bar is a cafe, and behind the cafe is the viewpoint. I suggest you have a view, have some pictures, enjoy the place, and I'll be here waiting for you.
Perfect. Well, here we have been many times. So, and here you can walk up if you want to go to the, if you've seen our Marjan video, this is basically one of the ways you get up to the Telegreen viewing point, or you can even continue to the observatory tower, the one we saw down from Kašjuni. You can also walk this way up. There's a lot of stairs, a lot of them. Last time it was actually closed. Okay, but it's not well maintained, the cemetery, but it goes quite a bit up here. And the most visited viewing point in Split, I think you can safely say that. And here, of course, you have stairs you can walk down, and you come out down in front of next to hotel, what's it called, the new hotel? Yeah. Is that it?
Yes.
And Tillegrin, okay, yeah, to Tillegrin, which is the highest point. We have the flag up, it's 18 minutes, but the 18 minutes is uphill, all the 18 minutes, stairs. I can't recall, is it 200 something from here? I think it's 300 something all the way from down. I could get used to this. It's much, yeah. So Laura, you have to go with us to Dubrovnik so we don't have to walk around Dubrovnik.
There's actually tuk-tuks down there as well. Tuk-tuks in Dubrovnik. They drive up to the Srđ mountain.
Oh, they drive up to Srđ? Okay.
Yes, so it's a beautiful ride to up there.
Yeah, maybe we should actually do that one.
Yes. Now you'll be able to see the old stadium of Hajduk Split. It's called Stari Plac, and today the local rugby team and the baseball team play there. But it used to have stands all around. And this is one of the best coffee spots in town. Coffee Squared. They make the specialty coffee.
Specialty coffee, yeah.
But it's very busy also, as it has only a few spots.
So in this building here, I used to have my first office.
Yes?
Yes. 20 years ago, I had an office up here. Maybe for three.
It's called Prima.
Yeah, 3-4 years I had an office up there.
Very nice.
But I'm glad I stopped having it there because parking was just a nightmare.
Ah, yes. These here are the remaining walls of the fort of the Diocletian's palace.
Yeah, it was solid construction that time.
Yes, much better than today.
Yeah, definitely.
If it's 1700 years old
It's amazing.
and still standing.
It's absolutely amazing.
And on the right side now is the Croatian National Theatre. A building like this you can see here in Split, in Zagreb the capital, in Rijeka, Osijek and Varaždin. So in 5 towns, the most important ones politically wise. And in Split there's around 300 shows a year going on in this place.
Maybe 10 years, no, 15 years ago, I met some, I think they were Australian tourists, or, you know, at least from an English-speaking country. And they went to the National Theatre and they saw, now I forgot it, but some very famous piece of performance.
Yes?
And that was the 13th time they've seen that around the world. And
Yeah.
the best one was the one they saw in Split.
Impressive.
Yeah. So really.
On a good word we are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that was really amazing. Yeah.
Right now in front of us is Marmontova Street. That's like the main street connecting the city center with the promenade. And if you now walk over it and go to the bottom, you'll actually get to where we started the tour. Now we are headed to the Gripe fortress.
Yeah, that one I look forward to hearing more about, you know.
Of course.
As I said, that one I always missed out on.
On the right side is Jardine Park. And you can actually see a glimpse of the Golden Gate entrance, one of the entrances into Diocletian's palace, and also the statue of the Gregory of Nin. So a very popular place to actually enter and start the exploration of the palace. And the palace has 4 gates, so golden, silver, bronze and wooden one, which open to 2 main streets called Cardo and Decumanus.
No, this is amazing.
And this place is called Radunica, and it's one of the oldest neighborhoods here around the center. And you can see by the way it was built, with a lot of these small streets, not actually made for cars to be passing through.
No. Radunica, the city
Radunica,
part.
yes?
Do you know when it really started? People started settling down there. Is that like?
Well, it was as soon as the city started spreading around the palace.
Then they
Yes.
went out here immediately.
Yes, because there was no more room to put houses after they built the palace, of course. So
Yeah.
they had to go around it.
Yeah, but I was thinking, so if they built the fortress here,
Yes?
so that was basically.
Oh, this was, I think, 16th or 17th century, this fortress, to defend against the Ottomans, as you said. So today, this place is used as a maritime museum and as a national archive. Of course, this was built much later than the palace down there.
Yeah.
So on the left here is the Maritime Museum. There's our city Titanic there, the boat.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, right
Ah, they're up there, yeah.
I actually found out about this like 3 years ago. So
No, but you know, you drive around, you see the walls, and then you don't think anything about it.
yes. And this place, it's almost always empty.
I cannot believe, you know,
This
about
one
place.
is really not known to everyone.
That's really amazing. Have you ever been here, Dino? A lot of times.
And those two windows up there, the furthest house you can see there is where we were just prior to this, the viewpoint.
Yeah, I just want to say,
Yes.
you have the Svetoduja Tower, the bell tower, and just above this you have the flag, more or less in a line from here.
Yes.
Yeah. No, but I cannot believe that you could get up here. Cool, really cool. So they were actually really serious about it that time.
Yes, well,
Because I was reading up on this when we figured out we were going to go on this tour. I wanted to figure out, you know, something about this Gripe fortress. And I was not aware that basically the Ottomans conquered this hill 2 times. 2 times.
yeah, but their
But-
main, you said
And they were actually, you know, the people from Split together with the Venetians, and later the Venetians came from Kotor also. The fleet from Kotor they were able to push them back. Otherwise, you know, it would have looked completely different. The
yes,
city. Yeah.
But their main place was also the Cliff Fortress. They wanted
Yes,
to
of
conquer
course,
it, yes,
yeah.
and that was the harder part.
That was a harder
because
part.
of the geographic position.
Of course,
Cliff
that one
Fortress.
is. We also went there, and that one is, you know, very hard to.
Yeah, it was also
to-
used a lot for the Game of Thrones filming, of
Yeah.
course.
And they even have a small church here.
Yes. Well, religion in Croatia is very important. So
Yes. Oh.
everybody here goes for the masses, of course, especially on Sundays, as it's a holy day. That's why we call it Titanic. Then you can do the Titanic scene.
And torpedoes, mines,
Yes.
patrol boat. Okay, that was an older version.
And you see the big T that is coming up right behind that building right there.
Yeah.
That resembles the name of the local fan group of the
Yeah,
Hajduk Split, the
Torcida.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually over here, if anybody is around that area and get hungry, there's a great place over here called
Plan B.
Plan B, where you get great burgers, great ribs and similar stuff, and they have a lot of beers to choose between, so secret tip, you don't have to eat everything on the Riva.
Yes.
Yeah, now it becomes Titanic, you know.
Yes.
If you crawl a little bit further.
Like after some hours or
Right, I think until 6 it works. But the entrance to the museum, I think it works until 6. But it's actually open throughout the whole night.
So you can come any weekday and
yes,
stuff.
and people from the neighborhood actually park their cars here, so that's a good
yeah.
option for them. Yeah. So now most of these cars actually are just residents living nearby.
Cool?
But it's good that it's open during the whole day.
No, I think so, yeah.
And of course, the Split has a huge shortage of parking, so any parking spot they can find,
Yeah,
I think, is a good option.
well, totally agree, yeah.
Here on the left is Brig Hotel, also very popular, pretty modern, although to me it fits more into some kind of a ski area. It
No,
looks like
I think it's a wonderful hotel. They just dropped it in the wrong location.
yes, more like an igloo for
Yeah.
some kind of a mountain area.
Yeah,
We're going to stop over the view of the Bačvice beach. Bačvice is one of the most popular, if not the most popular beach for tourists, because it's the closest one to the center. And also there, it's very shallow for a long time. So the water is much warmer, of course. and it can get a bit dirty because there's a lot of people circulating. But it's also the most popular place to play a game which is actually really authentic for Split. It's called Picigin, and hopefully we're gonna see some people playing it, so I can show you how it looks. So you see how shallow it is for a long time, and when there's hundreds of people there, it gets much dirtier very fast.
And here they left the coffee bar open.
Yes, that one actually is open.
Yeah.
But it's only coffee and drinks. It's not like cocktails and you know.
No, but still, you know, that you can at least go up and sit and have a coffee is nice.
Yes, that's at least that. And there's also a lot of new hotels being built all around, of course, as this neighborhood is very popular, very close to the center, so it makes sense.
And they almost finished the red villa. It looks amazing.
Yes.
I love
And the
it.
port is just behind those villas, so that's why also this beach, you will never see sea urchin here, as it's not so clean as the ones we saw prior to this.
But
the
of course,
kids-
the convenience is, what does it take from here? 7-8 minutes,
Yes,
you're
to
down
the
at
center, yeah,
the
so-
Riva. So
When it's too hot outside, not everyone will opt out to walking to 20-30 minutes to those beaches there on the
Yeah.
other side. Although, if you ask me, it's worth it as those are much cleaner and less busy because of the distance.
yeah. But amazing, we saw most of Split, the center of Split area, and we didn't, you know, walk around like crazy, you know. So we are still gonna function the rest of the day, which is good. Ah, Maestro.
Yes, Maestro is probably the best steakhouse in town.
No.
You wouldn't say
You,
that?
you are talking to the right guy about that. You know, if
What's
there's
your-
anybody who knows about steaks in Split, then it's
What's
me.
your recommendation?
The
for
best steak place in Split is Chops.
Chops Grill?
Yes,
In the center?
yes, nothing comes close.
Probably the price.
Yeah, the price
No
is there,
price comes close to
but
that one.
trust me, I have tested it so many times. It's unbelievably good.
So this here is Firule beach, and this one is actually also a sand beach, but it's mostly locals who come to this one. And now we can actually see people playing Picigin. Right there by the pier on the left side, those guys in the green swimsuits, unfortunately it's a bit far in the distance, but Picigin is a characteristic game for Split. So they use you take a tennis ball and then you peel off the green part and you like brush off and then you get it like it feels like skin inside, and you take that and you play, of course, with the palm of your hand, and they stay in the circle. You see in very shallow waters,
Yeah.
just enough so if the ball is too far, they can make a dive for it, and then the water will suspense the jump.
The jump,
So it's always being played here, and even in the winter, a lot of people play it because you don't actually have to be completely submerged into the water.
So as long as there's nice weather,
yes,
it's
yes,
easy.
and during the summer, all day, every day is being played here.
Yeah.
People who are playing here and people who are playing on the Bačvice, it's not the same rule.
The different
But how
groups
can
of-
you have different rules for that game?
It's the same game. The goal of the game is the same. You just keep the ball
Yeah.
out of the water. But in Bačvice you have positions, so each player has its own position. Here, this one is much more free, so you're just like running around and that's it.
So this is Firole's freestyle, and Bačvice is organized. Okay.
You have to go through the ranks in order to get there.
They don't like each other.
Well, so if you come as a tourist, you need to, you know, watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here you should not walk if there's a high waves.
Yes, you'll get wet.
You will get wet. Yeah.
But it's a beautiful ride with the bikes, just like these two guys, because now you can just continue all the way to Duilovo, all this way. But it's
there's a reason. There's a sign here which says
Only walking,
It's
yeah.
only walking, because as soon as you get to the summer,
it's just too crammed with
it's
people.
crammed with bicycles, and you just get annoyed if somebody comes on a bicycle.
Of course.
Yeah. So this is basically the end of our tour around Split with Tuk Tuk. We went with Lovra, and you can of course get the same tour as we had. Just go on Retro Tuk Split. We're gonna link the information below, And there you can book. This tour we did now was the full
See
tour,
everything,
see
yes.
everything tour. And they also have a classic tour. And if you are with a girlfriend, or if you're a girl and with a boyfriend, you can also get a romantic evening tour. Definitely worthwhile, a really nice way of seeing Split, you know, where you don't have to walk a lot, which is normally the case. So thumbs up from my side. To the next one.